Dongwu wiped the sweat from his forehead as he checked the medical equipment one more time. Everything had to be perfect. The aliens were coming, and everyone on the space station was nervous. He had been working as a medic for 3 years, but this was different. This was first contact with a species nobody had ever seen before. The Zalthari ship appeared outside the viewing window like a massive silver bird. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Dongwu watched as it docked with the station, his heart beating fast in his chest. He had studied the basic protocols. No touching, no direct contact. The aliens had made that very clear in their messages. Commander Jiho walked into the medical bay with a serious expression. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "They're coming through now," he said quietly. "Remember the rules. Stay behind the barrier. Let the machines do the scanning." Dongwu nodded. His hands were shaking slightly, but he tried to hide it. Through the door came 6 figures wearing long flowing robes that seemed to shimmer like water. They were tall, much taller than humans, with skin that glowed faintly blue. Their eyes were large and golden, and they moved with a grace that made them seem like they were floating. In the center of the group, carried on a floating platform, lay a young female. Even from a distance, Dongwu could see she was sick. Her skin, which should have glowed like the others, was dull and gray. Her breathing was shallow and painful to watch. The largest of the aliens stepped forward. His robes were more elaborate, covered in symbols that caught the light. "I am Emperor Talvik," he said through a translator device. His voice was deep and filled with sadness. "This is my daughter, Princess Villana. Your physicians said they would try to help her. Our own doctors have failed." Dr. He-jin, the chief medical officer, bowed respectfully. She was a small woman with sharp intelligence in her eyes. "We will do everything we can, Your Majesty. But you must understand we know very little about your biology. We may not be able to help." The Emperor's golden eyes dimmed. "She is dying. Anything you try is more than we have now." Dongwu moved to his station, careful to stay behind the protective barrier. The barrier was a thin energy field that would prevent any accidental contact. He began activating the scanning equipment, machines that could examine the princess without anyone touching her. The screens filled with data, but none of it made sense. Zalthari biology was completely different from human biology. "We need a closer scan of her neural pathways," Dr. Hyojin said, studying the screens with a frown. "Dongwu, adjust the scanner angle. We need better resolution." Dongwu reached for the scanner controls. The machine was positioned awkwardly above the princess, and he had to lean over the barrier to reach it. His fingers fumbled with the controls. The scanner was old and sometimes stuck. He pulled harder, trying to adjust the angle. Then it happened. The scanner suddenly loosened and Dongwu lost his balance. He fell forward, his hand breaking through the energy barrier. For just a moment, his fingertips brushed against the princess's exposed arm. Time seemed to stop. The royal guards immediately pulled out weapons that hummed with dangerous energy. Commander Jiho shouted something. Dr. Hyojin gasped. Dongwu stumbled backward, terrified that he had just started an interspecies war. But then everyone froze. The princess's skin, where Dongwu had touched her, began to glow. The glow spread slowly from that spot, moving across her arm like ripples in water. The gray, sickly color faded, replaced by a healthy blue luminescence. Her breathing, which had been shallow and weak, suddenly became deeper and stronger. Emperor Talvik stared at his daughter with wide eyes. What is happening?" The princess's eyes fluttered open. They were the same golden color as her father's, but brighter now, filled with life. She looked around in confusion, then sat up on the floating platform. For months she had been too weak to move. Now she was sitting up as if waking from a normal sleep. "Father," she said, her voice weak but clear. "I feel different. The pain is gone." One of the other Zalthari, clearly a physician by his instruments, rushed forward with his scanning devices. He waved them over the princess, his expression changing from shock to disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "The infection markers are dropping. Her cellular structure is stabilizing. This cannot be real." Dr. Hyojin was frantically checking her own instruments. "He's right. All her vital signs are improving, but how?" Dongwu only touched her for a second. Emperor Talvik slowly turned to look at Dongwu. The human medic stood frozen, still terrified that he was about to be killed for breaking the contact protocol. But instead of anger, the Emperor's face showed wonder. "You," the Emperor said, walking closer to Dongwu. "What did you do? I didn't do anything, Dongwu stammered. It was an accident. I just touched her. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break the rules. The Zalthari physician was still scanning the princess, his golden eyes growing wider with each reading. Your Majesty, the Crimson Plague is retreating. After 6 months of watching it spread through her body, it is actually retreating. Whatever this human did, it is working where all our medicine failed. Princess Valana looked at Dongwu with curious eyes. She tilted her head, studying him. You saved me, she said softly. I was dying. I could feel death coming closer every day. Now I feel alive. Commander Jiho lowered his weapon but kept his hand near it. We need to understand what happened here before anyone does anything else. This could be dangerous. Dangerous? Emperor Talavik's voice rose with emotion. My daughter was dead in all but name. Now she lives. If this human can do this, then we must understand how. Dr. Hyejin stepped forward, her scientific mind already working on the puzzle. We need to run tests. Compare Dongwu's biology with the princess's. Figure out what happened at the molecular level, but safely, with proper protocols. The Emperor looked at his daughter, then back at Dongwu. Will you help us? Will you allow us to study what makes you able to do this impossible thing? Dongwu looked at the princess. She was smiling now, a weak smile but a real one. Color was returning to her face with every passing moment. He had spent his whole life wanting to help people, to heal them. He never imagined he could heal someone just by touching them, especially an alien from another world. Yes, he said finally. I'll help however I can. The princess reached out her hand toward him, then stopped, remembering the protocols. But her eyes were grateful, and that was enough. Nobody knew it yet, but that single accidental touch would change everything. For Dongwu, for the princess, for Earth, and for the entire galaxy. Some moments are small. Some moments change worlds. This was the second kind. The quarantine room was cold and sterile. Dongwu sat on a medical bed while both human and Zalthari physicians ran test after test on him. It had been 3 days since the accident, and he had barely slept. Every few hours, someone came to take more blood samples or run more scans. Dr. Hyejin stood outside the glass wall watching the monitors. Her expression was intense as she studied the data flowing across multiple screens. Next to her stood a Zalthari physician named Kalton, who seemed equally confused by the results. His bioelectric field is completely different from ours, Kalton said, pointing at a specific reading. Humans generate a low-frequency energy pattern that we have never encountered in any species. It is weak, barely detectable, but it is there. Dr. Hyejin nodded slowly. We never knew about it because we had nothing to compare it to. We thought it was just normal background noise in our scans, but when his field interacted with the princess's biology, it neutralized the plague pathogen, Kalton finished. The Crimson Plague is a parasitic organism that feeds on our natural bioelectric energy. But human energy is toxic to it. The parasite cannot survive when exposed to this field. Inside the quarantine room, Dongwu was trying to understand what they were telling him through the speaker system. So I'm basically poisonous to this disease? In a manner of speaking, yes, Dr. Hyejin replied. But only to the disease, not to the Zalthari themselves. In fact, your bioelectric field seems to have a stabilizing effect on their cellular structure. The door to the observation area opened, and Emperor Talavik entered with Commander Jiho. The Emperor looked tired but hopeful. Behind them came a younger Zalthari male with harder eyes and a suspicious expression. This was Prince Kavren, the princess's older brother. How is my sister? The Emperor asked immediately. She is stable, Kalton replied. But the plague is beginning to return. The effect of the contact is temporary. Without continued exposure to the human bioelectric field, she will relapse within days. The Emperor's face fell. Then what can we do? All eyes turned to Dongwu. He felt the weight of their stares and shifted uncomfortably on the medical bed. You want me to keep touching her? To keep her alive? We would not ask this lightly, Emperor Talvik said. But you are the only hope my daughter has. Our physicians cannot replicate your bioelectric field. They have tried. Only actual contact with a human seems to work. Prince Kavren stepped forward, his voice cold. How convenient. A human becomes the only thing that can save a member of the royal family. What will your species demand in return for this service? Kavren, the Emperor said sharply. This human saved your sister's life. By accident, the prince shot back, and now we are dependent on him, on his entire species. Do you not see the danger in this? Commander Jiho spoke up. My government has not asked for anything. Dongwu volunteered to help. For now, Prince Kavren said. But how long before Earth uses this leverage? Dongwu stood up from the medical bed. I don't care about politics. I care about helping people. If I can keep the princess alive, I'll do it. No payment needed. Prince Kavren studied him with suspicious golden eyes but said nothing more. Dr. Hyojin pulled up a new screen. We have developed a protocol. Regular contact sessions, 30 minutes every 12 hours. The bioelectric transfer should be enough to keep the plague suppressed without causing any harm to either party. What about the risks? Commander Jiho asked. We don't know what prolonged contact might do. There is always risk, Calton admitted. But the alternative is death for the princess, and possibly for thousands of others suffering from the Crimson Plague across the Empire. That statement hung in the air. Thousands of others. Dongwu had not thought about that. If he could help the princess, could he help others too? Would he be expected to? Let's start with saving one life, Emperor Talovik said, as if reading Dongwu's thoughts. Then we will worry about the rest. The first official contact session was scheduled for that evening. Dongwu was taken to a special medical room where Princess Valana was waiting. She looked much better than 3 days ago, but he could see the gray tint starting to return to her skin. 2 guards stood at the door. Dr. Hyojin and Calton monitored from behind glass. The princess sat on a comfortable chair, looking nervous. Dongwu was nervous too. Hello, she said quietly. Her translator made her voice sound musical. Thank you for doing this. You're welcome, Dongwu replied, sitting in the chair next to her. How do we do this? The physician said hand contact is sufficient, she answered. She held out her hand, palm up. Dongwu hesitated for just a moment, then placed his hand in hers. Her skin was warm and had a strange, smooth texture, like touching water that somehow held its shape. The moment contact was made, he felt a slight tingling sensation. Her skin began to glow brighter under his touch. Princess Valana closed her eyes and sighed. It feels like sunlight, like warmth spreading through my whole body. The pain just disappears. They sat like that for 30 minutes. At first, neither spoke. The silence was awkward. But then the princess opened her eyes and looked at him with curiosity. Tell me about Earth, she said. I have never met a human before this week. What is your world like? Dongwu found himself talking about home, about the oceans and mountains, about cities that touched the sky, about the diversity of cultures and people. The princess listened with fascination, asking questions that showed a quick and intelligent mind. Your species is so young, she said. Only a few centuries in space. Yet you have this ability that our ancient civilization does not possess. It is humbling. I think every species has something unique, Dongwu replied. We just have to find what that is. When the 30 minutes ended, the princess did not want to let go immediately. This is the first time in 6 months I have felt normal, she said softly. Thank you, Dongwu. Over the next few days, a routine developed. Twice daily, Dongwu would sit with the princess for 30 minutes. During these sessions, they talked. She taught him about Zalthari culture, about their art and music and history. He told her about human customs, about food and sports and the things people did for fun. Despite the circumstances, a friendship began to form. The princess had been isolated by her illness for so long that having someone to talk to meant everything. Dongwu found himself looking forward to the sessions, not just because he was helping her, but because he genuinely enjoyed her company. Prince Kavren watched these sessions with narrowed eyes. He did not trust humans, and he especially did not trust the growing bond between his sister and this medic. But even he could not deny the results. His sister was alive and growing stronger. On the 7th day, Dr. Hyojin called a meeting. Her expression was grave. We've made a discovery, she said. The Crimson Plague is not a natural disease. The pathogen shows signs of genetic modification. Someone engineered this plague. Emperor Talvik stood up so fast his chair fell backward. What are you saying? I'm saying someone deliberately infected your daughter, Dr. Hyjin said. This was not an accident or bad luck. This was attempted murder. The room erupted into chaos. Guards rushed to increase security. Prince Cavern demanded to know who was responsible. Commander Jiho immediately contacted Earth security forces. In the medical room, Dongwu sat with Princess Valana, their hands clasped together for the evening session. She had heard the news through her communicator. Tears ran down her face. Someone tried to kill me, she whispered. Someone I trusted. Someone close enough to infect me. Who would do this? Dongwu squeezed her hand gently. I don't know, but you're alive now. And we're going to find out who did this. The princess looked at him with frightened eyes. What if they try again? What if they come after you too because you can save me? It was a good question, one that Dongwu did not have an answer for. He had signed up to be a medic, to help people. He had not signed up for assassination attempts and political intrigue. But here he was, holding the hand of an alien princess, the only thing keeping her alive, while someone out there wanted her dead. Then I guess we'll have to be careful, he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. Outside the window, the stars shined cold and distant. Somewhere in this station, or perhaps in the vast empire beyond, someone was planning their next move. And Dongwu was now part of a game he barely understood. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within a week, every major civilization knew about the human who could heal with a touch. The orbital station was flooded with communication requests. Some wanted to study Dongwu. Others wanted to hire him. A few wanted to steal him. Ambassador Bora arrived on the station with a team of political advisors. She was a sharp woman in her 50s with calculating eyes and a smile that never quite reached them. She wore an expensive suit and carried herself like someone who was used to getting what she wanted. Dongwu, she said, sitting across from him in a private meeting room. You have become the most important human in the galaxy. Do you understand what that means? Dongwu shifted uncomfortably in his chair. I just want to help the princess. Of course you do, Ambassador Bora said smoothly. But this is bigger than one princess. This is about Earth's position in galactic politics. For decades, we have been seen as a minor species, too young and primitive to matter. Now we have something every other species wants. We have you. Commander Jiho stood by the door, his arms crossed. What exactly are you suggesting, Ambassador? I'm suggesting we use this situation to Earth's advantage, Bora replied. The Zalthari Empire controls a third of known space. If we play this correctly, we could secure trade agreements, technology exchanges, territorial rights. Earth could become a major power. By holding the princess's life hostage? Dongwu said, anger rising in his voice. She'll die without treatment. She won't die, Bora said calmly. You'll continue treating her, but we'll negotiate terms, nothing unreasonable. Just fair compensation for services rendered. Dr. Hyjin entered the room carrying a data pad. You should see this before you make any decisions. She activated a holographic display showing news broadcasts from across the Zalthari Empire. Thousands of Zalthari citizens were protesting in the streets of their capital city. Some carried signs demanding access to human healing. Others burned effigies of humans, calling them parasites trying to exploit the Empire's weakness. The Empire was dividing over the issue. This is what your miracle has caused, came a cold voice from the doorway. Prince Cavern stood there, his golden eyes hard. My people are turning against each other. Some see humans as saviors. Others see you as threats. I didn't ask for any of this, Dongwu said quietly. No one asks for history, the prince replied. But here we are, making it anyway. Emperor Talvik appeared behind his son. The emperor looked older than he had a week ago, worn down by stress. There is more you should know. High Counselor Rathim has formally requested that Dongwu be transferred to the capital world. He claims the princess should be treated there with proper imperial resources. Rathim is your political rival, Commander Jiho said. Why would he want to help? He doesn't want to help, Prince Kavran answered. He wants control of the human. Whoever controls the healer controls significant power right now. Dr. Hyjin pulled up another screen. There's something else. We've identified 17 other cases of Crimson Plague across the Empire. All in nobles or important officials. All infected within the last year. 17? Emperor Talvik's voice shook. 17 assassination attempts? Or one very patient conspiracy, Dr. Hyjin said. Someone has been systematically targeting the Imperial elite. Your daughter was just one victim among many. Ambassador Bo-Ra leaned forward with interest. And all of these people could potentially be cured by human contact? Theoretically, yes, Dr. Hyjin confirmed. But we only have one Dongwu. He can't treat 17 people plus continue the princess's therapy. Even if we recruited more human volunteers, we don't know if all humans have this ability or just some. The door chimed. A guard entered and whispered something to Emperor Talvik. The Emperor's face went pale. Speak it aloud, he commanded. Everyone here should know. The guard bowed. Your Majesty, Lady Sifara has requested an audience. She says her son has been diagnosed with Crimson Plague. She is begging for human assistance. Sifara is my niece, the Emperor said heavily. Her son is only 8 years old. Dongwu felt his stomach drop. A child. They were infecting children now. This is a trap, Prince Kavran said immediately. Sifara has been close to High Counselor Rathim for years. This is too convenient. You would condemn a child based on suspicion? The Emperor asked his son. I would protect what we have, the prince replied. If Dongwu leaves the station, we may lose him. And then Villana dies. All eyes turned to Dongwu. The weight of the decision was crushing. Save the princess who had become his friend or try to save a sick child? Why did he have to choose? There has to be another way, he said desperately. Can't we test other humans? Find out if anyone else can do what I do? Dr. Hyjin shook her head. We're working on it, but testing takes time. Weeks, maybe months. That child doesn't have weeks. Ambassador Bo-Ra stood up. This is exactly why we need to negotiate from a position of strength. If the Empire wants access to human healing, they need to offer something in return. Security guarantees, resources, protection. A child is dying, Dongwu said, his voice rising. And you want to negotiate? A child you can't save while maintaining the princess's treatment schedule, Bo-Ra replied coldly. Sometimes there are no good choices, only practical ones. Dongwu stood up so fast his chair fell over. I didn't become a medic to play politics. I became a medic to save lives. He walked out of the room before anyone could stop him. His heart was pounding, his hands shaking with anger and fear and frustration. Behind him he heard voices arguing, but he didn't care. He needed to think. He found himself at the observation deck staring out at the stars. Earth was out there somewhere, millions of kilometers away. He had left home wanting to help people. Now he was trapped in a situation where helping anyone seemed to hurt someone else. It's beautiful, isn't it? Princess Villana's voice came from behind him. She walked up to stand beside him, her skin glowing softly in the dim light. The stars, so many worlds, so many lives. Sometimes I forget how big everything is. How are you feeling? Dongwu asked, though he could see she was struggling. It had been 6 hours since their last contact session. Tired, she admitted. The pain is starting to come back, but I wanted to talk to you before our next session. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I heard about Sifara's son, about the choice you have to make. I don't know what to do, Dongwu said honestly. The princess was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that surprised him. Save the child. Dongwu turned to look at her. What? Save the child, she repeated. I am an adult. I have lived a full life. He is 8 years old. He deserves a chance at life more than I deserve to continue mine. But you'll die, Dongwu said. Perhaps, she agreed. Or perhaps your Dr. He-jin will find another solution. Or perhaps I will survive long enough for you to return. But if we let a child die, because we were too afraid to take a risk, then what kind of people are we? Dongwu felt tears in his eyes. I don't want you to die. The princess smiled sadly. I don't want to die either. But I also don't want to live knowing I let a child suffer when I could have helped. That's not a life worth saving. She took his hand. The glow spread from the contact, pushing back the gray tint on her skin. You have a gift, Dongwu, a gift that could change the galaxy. But gifts come with responsibility, and sometimes responsibility means making impossible choices. In the meeting room, the argument continued. Ambassador Bo-Ra insisted on negotiating terms. Prince Kavran argued for protecting the princess at all costs. Emperor Talvik tried to find a solution that would save everyone. But out on the observation deck, Dongwu and Princess Velana stood hand in hand, watching the stars and understanding that some choices cannot be avoided. Sometimes the only path forward is through the fire. I'll go, Dongwu said finally. I'll try to save the child. But I'm coming back, I promise. The princess squeezed his hand. I know you will, because you're a healer. And healers never stop trying to save people, even when it seems impossible. She was right, Dongwu realized. He had become a medic because he believed every life mattered. He couldn't stop believing that now, just because the choices got harder. If there was any chance to save both the princess and the child, he had to try. Even if it meant walking into a trap, even if it meant risking everything because that's what healers do. The transport ship to the capital world was luxurious and uncomfortable at the same time. Dongwu sat in a private cabin surrounded by guards, both human and Zalthari. Commander Jiho had insisted on sending a security team. Prince Kavran had done the same. Everyone was suspicious of everyone else. Agent Taeyang sat across from Dongwu, cleaning a small but deadly-looking weapon. He was a quiet man in his 30s with observant eyes and quick reflexes. Earth Intelligence had assigned him as Dongwu's personal bodyguard. You should have stayed on the station, Taeyang said for the 10th time. This whole situation stinks of a trap. A child is sick, Dongwu replied. Also for the 10th time. A child who conveniently got sick right when pressure was building for you to spread your services beyond the princess, Taeyang countered. Think about the timing. Dongwu had thought about it. He had thought about little else during the journey. But what was he supposed to do? Refuse to help because it might be a trap? Let a child die because of politics? The ship docked at the capital world's orbital platform. Through the window, Dongwu could see the planet below. It was beautiful, with purple oceans and silver continents that sparkled in the sunlight. Cities glowed like jewels across the surface. Lady Sifara was waiting at the docking port. She was elegant and poised, wearing robes that marked her as high nobility. Her golden eyes were red from crying, but she maintained her composure as she bowed to Dongwu. Thank you for coming, she said, her voice trembling slightly. My son Loran is in the medical facility. The physicians say he has only days left. Take me to him, Dongwu said simply. The medical facility was a massive building made of crystal that refracted light into rainbow patterns. Inside, everything was clean and efficient. They passed dozens of other patients, some Zalthari and some aliens Dongwu had never seen before. All of them stared as he walked by. Word of the human healer had spread. Lauren's room was at the end of a long corridor. The child lay in a bed that adjusted to his small body, surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed. He looked so tiny and fragile. His skin was almost completely gray and his breathing was labored. He was dying faster than the princess had been. Dongwu felt his heart break. He approached the bed slowly, aware of Taeyang and the guards watching from the doorway. He reached out and took the child's small hand. The effect was immediate. Color began to return to Lauren's skin. His breathing eased. The machines showed his vital signs improving rapidly. The child's eyes fluttered open, confused but alive. Mother, he said weakly. Lady Sifara rushed to the other side of the bed, tears flowing freely now. I'm here, my son. I'm here. Dongwu maintained contact for a full hour, much longer than the usual 30 minutes. When he finally let go, the child was sleeping peacefully. his skin glowing with healthy blue light. "He will need continued treatment," Dongwu said to Lady Sifara, "just like the princess. The effect is temporary." "Of course," she replied. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I will arrange for proper accommodations. You can stay here and treat both my son and the princess. Surely that's better than trying to divide your time." Before Dongwu could answer, Taeyang stepped forward. "We'll need to discuss security arrangements first." Something in the agent's tone made Dongwu look at him. Taeyang's eyes were scanning the room, noting every detail, every person, every exit. He was tense, ready for trouble. It came faster than anyone expected. The explosion rocked the building. Alarms shrieked. The lights flickered and died, replaced by emergency red lighting. Dongwu was thrown to the floor. Through the ringing in his ears, he heard Taeyang shouting orders, heard weapons firing, heard screams. Strong hands grabbed him and pulled him up. It was one of the Zalthari guards. "We must move, now!" They ran through corridors filled with smoke and chaos. More explosions shook the building. Dongwu caught glimpses of masked attackers fighting with security forces. Laser fire lit up the smoke like lightning. "The princess," Dongwu shouted. "What about the princess?" "She's still on the station," Taeyang yelled back, appearing beside him with his weapon drawn. "That's the only reason you're not already dead. They can't kill you without killing her." They reached a secure room and barricaded themselves inside. Dongwu's heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. This was not what he had signed up for. He was a medic, not a soldier. Taeyang was speaking rapidly into a communication device. After a moment, he turned to Dongwu. "We've got bigger problems. That was not just an attack on the medical facility. There were simultaneous attacks at 17 locations across the city, all places where Crimson Plague victims were being treated." 17, Dongwu said. "The same number of cases Dr. He-jin identified." "Not a coincidence," Taeyang agreed. "Someone is trying to eliminate all the plague victims." But why? The answer came from an unexpected source. Lady Sifara had been brought to the secure room as well. She sat in the corner, her elegant composure completely shattered. She was shaking, tears running down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know they would do this." Taeyang was on her in an instant, his weapon pointed at her head. "What did you know?" "Rathim," she said, the name coming out like poison. "High Counselor Rathim. He approached me months ago. He said he could cure my son if I helped him. He needed someone close to the royal family. Someone who could gather information." "You were spying for him," Taeyang said coldly. "I was trying to save my son," Lady Sifara cried. "He was dying!" "Rathim said he had the cure, but he never gave it to me. He just kept asking for more information. About the Emperor's plans, about the princess's treatment, about the human." Dongwu felt sick. "He infected your son. He infected all of them. The princess, the nobles, even a child. Why?" "Power," came a new voice from the communication device. It was Dr. He-jin, her voice crackling with static. "We've been analyzing the plague pathogen. It's designed to target specific genetic markers, markers that only appear in families connected to the imperial line. He was killing off anyone who might challenge him," Taeyang said with understanding, "getting rid of potential rivals before making his move for the throne." "But he didn't count on humans," Dr. Hyjin continued. "When you saved the princess, you ruined his plan. Now he's trying to eliminate the evidence. All the plague victims have to die so no one can prove the plague was engineered. And he has to eliminate me," Dongwu added, "so no one can save them." Another explosion, closer this time. The building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. "We need to get out of here," Taeyang said. "Now, but where could they go?" The entire city was under attack. The attackers knew where Dongwu was. They would keep coming until he was dead. Then Dongwu remembered something. "Prince Kevrin." He was suspicious from the beginning. He must have suspected Rathim. "The prince is commanding the defensive forces," one of the Zalthari guards reported. "He's fighting to protect the medical facilities." "We need to reach him," Taeyang decided. "He's our best chance." They fought their way through the chaos. Taeyang and the guards cleared a path while Dongwu ran behind them, feeling useless and terrified. They had to leave Loran behind, still sleeping in his hospital bed. Lady Sifara had refused to leave her son, choosing to stay and face whatever came. Outside, the city was burning. Attackers in dark armor fought against security forces. Above, ships engaged in aerial combat, streaks of weapons fire cutting through the purple sky. Prince Kavran found them first. He appeared with a squad of elite guards, his ceremonial robes replaced by combat armor. His golden eyes found Dongwu immediately. "You're alive," the prince said. "Good. My sister would have killed me if I let you die." "Rathim is behind this," Dongwu said quickly. "He created the plague. He's trying to cover it up." "I know," Prince Kavran replied. "I've suspected him for months. But I needed proof. Now we have Lady Sifara's testimony." He looked at Dongwu with something that might have been respect. "You walked into the trap and walked out alive. That takes courage. Or stupidity. Maybe both. Can we save the plague victims?" Dongwu asked. "The ones being attacked?" The prince's expression darkened. "Most are already dead. Rathim's forces hit them first. But some survived, including Loran. Lady Sifara protected her son with her own body. She's wounded but alive." Relief flooded through Dongwu. The child had survived. "We need to get you back to the station," Prince Kavran continued. "My sister needs you, and we need to keep you alive as evidence of Rathim's crimes." "What about Rathim?" Taeyang asked. The prince's smile was cold and dangerous. "Leave him to me. He wanted to eliminate the Imperial line? Let's see how he faces what's left of it." The journey back to the station was tense. They traveled in a military ship with heavy escort. Twice they were attacked by Rathim's forces. Twice they fought them off. When they finally docked at the station, Princess Velana was there waiting. She looked terrible, the gray tint covering most of her skin. But she was alive, and when she saw Dongwu, relief flooded her face. "You came back," she said weakly. "I promised I would," Dongwu replied, taking her hand. The familiar glow spread from the contact. "Did you save the child?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "And we found out who's behind everything." The princess closed her eyes, leaning into the healing touch. "Good, because now we can fight back." Dr. Sungmin arrived on the station 3 weeks after the attack. He was a xenobiologist from Earth, specialized in studying how different species evolved. He carried with him several ancient artifacts and a theory that would shake 2 civilizations to their foundations. "You need to see this," he said, spreading holographic displays across the conference table. Emperor Talvik, Prince Kavran, Princess Velana, Commander Jiho, Dr. Hiejin, and Dongwu gathered around. The holograms showed ancient symbols and star charts. "These are from Zalthari archaeological sites," Dr. Sungmin explained. "Sites that date back millions of years. We've been comparing them to human genetic markers and evolutionary patterns." "Why would you compare human genetics to our ancient history?" Emperor Talvik asked, confused. Dr. Sungmin touched a control, and the hologram shifted to show 2 DNA strands side by side. One was human. One was Zalthari. They were different in many ways, but at their core there were similarities that should not exist. Because humans and Zalthari share a common ancestor, Dr. Sungmin said quietly. "We are related." The room erupted into shocked exclamations. Prince Kavran stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "Impossible. We are nothing alike. We evolved on opposite sides of the galaxy." "That's exactly the point," Dr. Sungmin continued. "You didn't evolve on your current homeworld. Your ancestors did. But millions of years ago, a group of proto-Zalthari left and colonized what would become your empire. The ancestors that stayed behind continued evolving on Earth. They became us." Dr. Hiejin was studying the data with wide eyes. "The bioelectric field compatibility. That's why Dongwu can heal Zalthari. At a fundamental level, our biology recognizes each other as related." An elderly Zalthari appeared on the holographic display, connecting from the capital world. This was Elder Kesvara, keeper of ancient histories. Her skin was pale with age, but her golden eyes were sharp. "I have spent decades studying the old texts," she said, "texts that most dismissed as mythology. They speak of the great journey when our ancestors left the birth world to seek new homes among the stars. We always assumed the birth world was lost or destroyed. We never imagined it survived and produced another sentient species. Earth," Princess Velana said softly. "Earth is the birth world." "According to the genetic and archaeological evidence, yes," Dr. Sungmin confirmed. "The proto-species split approximately 4 million years ago. The Zalthari ancestors developed space travel and left. The ones who remained evolved into humans." Emperor Talvik sat down slowly, his expression showing shock and wonder. "We are family. Humans and Zalthari are family. Distant cousins separated by time and space," Dr. Sungmin agreed. "But yes, family." The implications were staggering. Dongwu tried to wrap his mind around it. The aliens he had been healing were not truly alien at all. They were relatives, lost cousins who had taken a different evolutionary path. This changes everything, Commander Jiho said. Relations between our species, trade agreements, cultural exchanges. Everything has to be reconsidered in light of this. Not everyone will be happy about this, Prince Kavrin warned. Some of our people take great pride in Zalthari superiority. Learning we share origins with a younger species will be difficult for them to accept. He was right. Over the following days, as the news spread, reactions varied wildly. Some Zalthari embraced the revelation, calling humans their lost family and welcoming them warmly. Others rejected it completely, calling the research flawed and refusing to believe such a thing was possible. On Earth, reactions were similarly mixed. Some humans were excited to learn they had spacefaring cousins. Others were suspicious, wondering if this was some kind of trick. Religious groups debated what this meant for their beliefs about creation and humanity's place in the universe. The news channels were filled with debates, arguments, and discussions. Scientists from both species worked together to verify the findings. More archaeological evidence was discovered. More genetic testing was done. The evidence became overwhelming. Humans and Zalthari shared a common origin. But not everyone saw this as good news. High Counselor Rathim, hiding somewhere in the Empire with his remaining forces, released a statement calling the research a human conspiracy. He claimed Earth was trying to insert itself into Zalthari politics by inventing a false shared history. He's desperate, Prince Kavrin said, reading the statement with disgust. He knows this revelation undermines his support. Many of his followers believed in Zalthari superiority. If we're related to humans, that superiority is a lie. But some will believe him, Princess Villana said. She was sitting next to Dongwu during their daily contact session. Her health had stabilized with regular treatments. Some will see this as an invasion attempt. Humans claiming kinship to gain power. She was right. A new movement emerged calling themselves the Pure Bloodline. They rejected the scientific evidence and called for complete separation from humanity. Some even claimed that contact with humans was contaminating Zalthari genetic purity. Attacks on human visitors increased. 3 human diplomats were injured in an incident on a Zalthari colony world. A human research station was sabotaged. Tensions rose. This is what Rathim wanted, Emperor Talvik said wearily. He looked older each day, worn down by the political turmoil. Division, fear, chaos. He may have lost his direct bid for power, but he's succeeding in tearing the empire apart. Ambassador Bo-Ra saw opportunity in the chaos. She pushed Earth to demand concessions from the empire in exchange for continued medical assistance and scientific cooperation. We have leverage now, she argued. We should use it, but Dongwu disagreed. In a public statement that went out across both human and Zalthari networks, he spoke plainly. I don't care about politics or leverage or power, he said, looking directly into the camera. I care about healing people. Whether we're related or not, whether we share DNA or not, the fact remains that I can help sick people get better. That's what matters, not who can exploit it for political gain. The statement went viral. Millions watched it. For many, it cut through the political noise and reminded them what this was supposed to be about. Helping people, saving lives, moving forward together. Princess Villana watched the statement with tears in her eyes. You're wasted as a medic, she told Dongwu during their next session. You should be a leader. I don't want to be a leader, Dongwu replied. I just want to do my job. But leadership was being thrust upon him whether he wanted it or not. People from both species started looking to him as a symbol of unity. The human who healed aliens. The bridge between 2 related species. Elder Kesvara requested a meeting. She appeared via hologram, her ancient eyes studying Dongwu with interest. Young human, she said. You carry a gift that may heal more than just bodies. You may heal the rift between our peoples. I'm just one person, Dongwu said. I can't heal an entire political divide. Perhaps not alone, the elder agreed. But you are not alone. Princess Villana stands with you. Prince Kavrin has become your ally. Your own people support you. Sometimes, young one, a single spark can light a great fire. Dr. Sung Min had more news. He had been working with Zalthari archaeologists to find the original homeworld, the place where the split occurred. Using ancient star charts and genetic drift calculations, they narrowed down a location. It's an uninhabited system in neutral space, he explained. The planet is still there, still habitable. According to our estimates, this is where both our species originated. Emperor Talvik made a decision. We will send an expedition. Humans and Zalthari together. We will find the homeworld and prove beyond doubt that we share a common origin, and perhaps in doing so we will find a path to unity. The expedition would take months to organize, but it gave both species something to focus on besides their divisions. Scientists from both sides volunteered eagerly. The media covered every development. Dongwu was asked to join the expedition. "You're a symbol," Princess Velana told him. "People need symbols right now. Something to believe in." "What about your treatment?" Dongwu asked. "You need regular contact sessions." The princess smiled. "Then I suppose I'll have to come with you. Besides, I've always wanted to explore. This seems like the perfect opportunity." Prince Kavran would command the military escort. Dr. Haya Jin and Dr. Sungmin would lead the scientific team. Ambassador Bora tried to insert herself into the expedition, but Emperor Talvik politely declined. "This is not about politics," he said firmly. "This is about discovery." As preparations began, Dongwu found himself thinking about how much had changed in just a few months. He had been a simple medic working a quiet job on an orbital station. Now he was at the center of a galactic revelation, about to journey to humanity's original homeworld with an alien princess at his side. Life, he reflected, had gotten very complicated. But looking at Princess Velana, seeing her healthy and excited about the expedition, seeing humans and Zalthari working together despite their differences, he thought maybe complicated was better than simple. Maybe this was what he was meant to do all along, not just heal individual people, but help heal the gap between species. It was a bigger job than he ever wanted. But someone had to do it, and the ship was called Unity, a name that some thought was too hopeful and others thought was perfect. It was a joint construction, built by both human and Zalthari engineers. Half the crew was human, half Zalthari. Captain Yoon Seo, a veteran of Earth's deep space exploration program, commanded with a steady hand and sharp mind. Dongwu stood in the observation deck, watching Earth shrink behind them as they began their journey. Princess Velana joined him, her skin glowing softly in the dim light. "Nervous?" she asked. "Terrified," he admitted. "What if we don't find anything? What if the planet is empty or destroyed? Everyone is counting on this expedition to prove we're related." "We already proved that with science," the princess replied. "This journey is about something else. It's about giving people hope, about showing that humans and Zalthari can work together." She was right. The expedition had already achieved something important. Despite the tensions and divisions, despite the pure bloodline movement and the political arguments, hundreds of humans and Zalthari were working side by side on this ship. It was proof that unity was possible, but the journey was not easy. 3 weeks into the voyage, a new crisis emerged. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Hundreds, then thousands of Zalthari were developing symptoms similar to the Crimson Plague, but this was different. This was spreading like wildfire. Dr. Hye Jin worked around the clock analyzing the data. "It's not the same pathogen," she explained at an emergency meeting. "This is something new, similar but different. It's spreading through contact, which the original plague didn't do." "Another bioweapon?" Prince Kavarin asked grimly. "Possibly," Dr. Hye Jin replied, "or a mutation of the original. Either way, it's bad. Hospitals across the Empire are being overwhelmed." The communication came in an hour later. It was from the Healers Guild, a newly formed organization on the capital world. The leader appeared on screen, an older Zalthari named Ralvin. "We need the human healer," Ralvin said bluntly. "Thousands are sick. Only human contact can cure them. We need Dongwu to return immediately." Emperor Talvik, participating remotely from the capital, looked troubled. "How many are infected?" "Over 10,000 confirmed cases," Ralvin replied. "More every hour. We've sent out calls for human volunteers, but even with the ones who responded, we don't have enough. We need the original healer, the one who saved the princess." All eyes turned to Dongwu. He felt the weight of those stares, the pressure of thousands of lives depending on his choice. "One man cannot heal 10,000 people," Dr. Sungmin said reasonably. "Even with constant contact sessions, it would take months, years maybe. But his presence would inspire others," Ralvin argued. Other humans would volunteer if they saw Dongwu leading the effort. Right now, many humans are afraid to help. They fear being trapped, being exploited, being attacked by pure bloodline extremists. It was true. After several incidents of violence against human volunteers, many had stopped coming forward. The healing effort had slowed to a trickle. Ambassador Bora appeared on another screen. She had been monitoring the situation from Earth. "This is exactly what I warned about," she said. "The Empire wants to use our people as a resource. Where are the protections we asked for? Where are the guarantees of safety? People are dying," Dongwu said quietly. "People are always dying somewhere," Bora replied coldly. "We cannot save the entire galaxy at the expense of our own security." Dongwu stood up, anger rising in his chest. "I didn't ask to be a symbol or a political tool. I just wanted to help people. And right now people need help. If you go back now, the expedition fails," Captain Yunseo pointed out. "We're 3 weeks from the homeworld. We turn back now, we lose months of progress." Princess Velana spoke up. "What if Dongwu doesn't go back? What if we bring the sick to him?" Everyone turned to look at her. "Explain," Emperor Talavik said. "The Unity is a large ship," the princess continued. "We could convert cargo bays into medical facilities. Transport the most severe cases here. Dongwu continues to the homeworld, but he treats patients along the way." "We're not equipped for mass medical treatment," Captain Yunseo objected. "Then we get equipped," Prince Kavaran said. "We request medical supplies, additional doctors, both human and Zalthari. The Unity becomes a mobile hospital." Dr. Hyejin was already calculating. "If we work in shifts with Dongwu doing contact sessions around the clock, we could treat maybe 20 to 30 patients per day. That's still not enough for 10,000. "No," Dongwu agreed. "But what if we train others?" Everyone looked at him. "Other humans must have this ability," Dongwu explained. "We just haven't tested enough people. What if we bring human volunteers here, test them, train the ones who can heal? We could create a whole team of healers." Dr. Sungmin nodded slowly. "That could work. We'd need to develop a testing protocol, but it's possible." Over the next few days, plans were made rapidly. The Unity's cargo bays were converted into medical facilities. Human volunteers arrived on transport ships eager to be tested for the healing ability. Additional medical staff, both human and Zalthari, joined the expedition. The testing revealed something remarkable. About 1 in 20 humans had the healing ability. It was not unique to Dongwu. It was a trait shared by millions of humans across Earth and the colonies. The first group of human healers was diverse. There was Jiwoo, a young medical student barely 20 years old, enthusiastic and eager to help. There was Dal Neem, a retired nurse in her 60s who had volunteered the moment she heard about the need. There was Wu Jin, a construction worker with no medical training but a gentle touch. 10 humans total, all capable of healing Zalthari with contact. Dongwu trained them personally. He taught them the protocols, the timing, the way to maintain focus during long contact sessions. He shared his experiences, his fears, his discoveries. "It's draining," he warned them, "physically and emotionally. You'll feel their pain, their sickness. You have to stay strong." "We can handle it," Jiwoo said confidently. She was right. The human healers proved remarkably capable. Within days, they were treating dozens of patients. The Unity became known across the galaxy as the healing ship. But success brought new problems. More sick Zalthari wanted to come, more than the Unity could handle. Captain Yunseo had to turn away hundreds of requests. "We can't save everyone," she said grimly. "We don't have the space or resources." It was a hard truth. Dongwu lay awake at night thinking about all the people they couldn't help. He treated patients 12 hours a day, sleeping only when exhaustion forced him to stop. The other healers did the same. Princess Velana watched him wearing himself down. "You cannot carry the weight of the galaxy on your shoulders," she told him gently. "You are doing more than anyone could ask." "It's not enough," Dongwu replied. "It's never enough." Then came the attack. Pure bloodline extremists, angry about human involvement in Zalthari affairs, angry about the healing operations, launched a coordinated strike against the Unity. 3 small but deadly ships appeared from hiding, firing on the expedition vessel. Captain Yunseo maneuvered expertly, but the Unity was not a warship. The shields held, but barely. Prince Kavran's military escort engaged the attackers, driving them off, but not before one of the medical bays was damaged. 5 patients died. 3 humans were injured. The attack sent shockwaves through both communities. "This is what happens when we interfere," some voices on Earth said. "We should withdraw. Let the Zalthari solve their own problems." This is what happens when we allow extremism to grow. Others replied, we should increase our involvement. Show we will not be intimidated. Dongwu visited the injured humans in the medical bay. One of them was Jiwoo, the young medical student. She had been hit by debris when the attack struck. Her leg was badly injured. I'm sorry, Dongwu said. You came here to help and you got hurt. Jiwoo managed a weak smile. I knew the risks. We all did. This doesn't change anything. As soon as I can walk again, I'm going back to healing patients. Her courage humbled him. She was half his age and braver than he felt. The incident forced a decision point. Some crew members wanted to turn back. Some wanted to continue. Some wanted to focus only on reaching the homeworld and abandon the healing operations. A vote was held. Every crew member, human and Zalthari, had a say. The Unity was a democracy in miniature. The result was close but clear. They would continue. Both the journey to the homeworld and the healing operations. They would not be scared off by extremists. They would not abandon sick people. They would do both or die trying. Ambassador Bora called it foolish. Emperor Talavik called it brave. Dongwu called it necessary. We're building something here, he said to the assembled crew. Something bigger than healing or politics or even finding the homeworld. We're proving that different species can work together, that we can overcome fear and hatred and violence. If we give up now, we prove the extremist right. We prove that unity is impossible. Captain Yunseo nodded. Then we keep going. All the way to the homeworld, healing people as we go. Princess Velana stood beside Dongwu, her hand in his. The contact had become natural over the months. More than just medical treatment, it was a connection, a friendship that had deepened into something neither of them wanted to name yet. Together? She asked softly. The homeworld appeared on the view screen like a blue-green jewel against the darkness of space. It was smaller than Earth, smaller than the current Zalthari capital world, but it was beautiful. Oceans covered most of the surface, with 2 major continents and thousands of islands scattered between them. Silence filled the bridge of the Unity. Humans and Zalthari stood side by side, staring at the planet where both their species began. Some were crying. Others were too amazed for tears. We're home, Princess Velana whispered. After millions of years, we're finally home. Captain Yunseo broke the silence with practiced efficiency. Begin orbital scans. I want to know everything about that planet before we send anyone down. The scans revealed remarkable findings. The planet was still habitable with breathable atmosphere and abundant life. But there were also ruins. Ancient cities, mostly reclaimed by nature, but still visible from orbit. Proof that an advanced civilization had once thrived here. Dr. Sungmin was practically vibrating with excitement. We need to get down there immediately. These ruins could answer so many questions about our shared history. We go carefully, Prince Kavrin cautioned. We don't know what dangers might be present. The first landing party consisted of 20 people, equally divided between humans and Zalthari. Dongwu was included, as was Princess Velana. They descended in a shuttle toward the largest concentration of ruins, located on a peninsula jutting into a vast ocean. The air was warm and humid when the shuttle doors opened. Dongwu took his first breath of the homeworld's atmosphere and felt a strange sense of belonging. This planet had never known humans before today, yet somehow it felt familiar. The ruins were magnificent. Massive structures made of a crystalline material that had survived millions of years. Towers and bridges, plazas and temples, all overgrown with vegetation, but still recognizable as the work of an intelligent species. Our ancestors built this, Elder Kesvara said. She had insisted on joining the expedition despite her advanced age. Now she stood among the ruins, tears streaming down her face. The old text described cities of crystal and light. I thought they were just poetry, but they were real, all real. Dr. Sungmin and his team spread out, scanning and documenting everything. Every piece of data was transmitted back to the Unity and from there broadcast across the galaxy. Billions watched as humans and Zalthari explored their shared birthplace. In what appeared to be a central temple, they found something extraordinary. A massive wall covered in carved symbols and images. It told a story in pictures that anyone could understand. The story of a species that reached for the stars and split into 2 paths. One path showed figures leaving in great ships, spreading across the galaxy. These became the Zalthari. The other path showed figures staying behind, evolving and changing over millions of years. These became humans, but the carving showed something else. Something that sent chills down Dongwu's spine. The split was not an accident or a simple migration. It was a choice made in the face of a great threat. There, Dr. Hai-Jin pointed at a section of the carving. Do you see that? It looks like a plague or disease. The species was dying. They had to separate to survive. Split the population, Dr. Sungmin said, understanding dawning. If a disease was killing everyone, separating into two groups would give both a chance to survive. Different environments, different evolutionary pressures, different mutations. One group or both might develop immunity. And we did, Princess Villana said softly. The Zalthari ancestors who left developed one type of biology. The humans who stayed developed another, both immune to the ancient plague in different ways. That's why human bioelectric fields can heal Zalthari, Dongwu added. It's not just compatibility. It's complementarity. We evolved to protect each other. The revelation was profound. The species had not split by accident or for simple exploration. They had split to survive. And in doing so, they had given each other the tools to save each other millions of years later. The news spread across the galaxy in hours. The meaning was clear to everyone. Humans and Zalthari were not just related. They were meant to be together. Two halves of a whole separated by time and space now reunited. The pure bloodline movement collapsed almost overnight. How could anyone argue for separation when the evidence showed their ancestors had separated only to ensure survival of both groups? How could anyone claim superiority when both species had evolved from the same source? But while some conflicts ended, others remained. High Counselor Rathim, still in hiding, released one final message. In it, he claimed the ancient story proved his point. The species had separated for a reason and should stay separated. He's wrong, Prince Kavran said, reading the message with disgust. Our ancestors separated to survive a threat. That threat is gone. Now we have a choice. We can honor their sacrifice by reuniting, or we can waste it by staying apart. The Council of Two Worlds was formed a month later. It was a joint governing body with representatives from both Earth and the Zalthari Empire. Its purpose was to coordinate healing efforts, manage cultural exchanges, and resolve disputes between the species. Ambassador Bo-Ra was not appointed to the council. Emperor Talvik had made it clear that leaders focused solely on exploitation would not be welcome. Instead, the council members were scientists, doctors, cultural ambassadors, and people who genuinely wanted to build bridges rather than extract advantages. The healing crisis began to resolve itself. With thousands of human volunteers now trained and deployed across the galaxy, the plague outbreaks came under control. The Healers Guild became a permanent institution, with both human and Zalthari members working together. But there was one more crisis to resolve. Rathim's location had been discovered. He was hiding on a remote colony world with a small force of loyal followers. Prince Kavran wanted to lead a military strike to capture him. Let me go, Dongwu said during the planning meeting. Everyone stared at him like he was insane. You're not a soldier, Captain Yunseo said. You're a healer. Exactly, Dongwu replied. Rathim started all of this because he was afraid of losing power. If we attack him with military force, we prove him right. We prove that might makes right. But if I go unarmed just to talk, maybe we can end this without more violence. He'll kill you, Prince Kavran said bluntly. Maybe, Dongwu agreed. But maybe not. Maybe he'll listen. Because I'm not there to threaten him. I'm there to offer him a choice. Princess Villana grabbed his hand. I'm going with you. No, Dongwu said immediately. Yes, she replied firmly. You said it yourself. This has to end without violence. That means both of us go. Both species together, showing we're united. It was insane. Everyone said so. But sometimes insane is what's needed to break through fear and hatred. They went in a small unarmed shuttle, just Dongwu, Princess Villana, and Agent Tae Yang, who refused to let them go alone. They landed at Rathim's compound and walked to the entrance with their hands visible and empty. Rathim met them at the door with armed guards. The High Counselor looked older than Dongwu remembered. Tired, defeated but still defiant. You should not have come, Rathim said. I could kill you both and become a martyr to the cause of separation. You could, Princess Villana agreed. But then you would just be a murderer. Not a martyr. Not a hero. Just someone who killed unarmed people because he was afraid. I am not afraid, Rathim snarled. Yes, you are, Dongwu said gently. You're afraid of change, afraid of losing control, afraid that the galaxy you knew is ending. And you're right. It is ending. But something better is beginning. Better? Rathim laughed bitterly. You call this better? Our species becoming dependent on humans? Our proud empire reduced to begging for healing? No, Princess Villana said. Our species learning we're not alone. Learning we have family we didn't know about. Learning we're stronger together than apart. That's not dependence. That's partnership. I created the plague to strengthen the empire, Rathim said. To remove weak links in the chain of succession. To make us pure and strong. You created the plague because you wanted power, Dongwu replied. But you didn't make anyone stronger. You just made people sick, including children. You hurt people who trusted you. That's not strength. That's cruelty. For a long moment, Rathim said nothing. His guards watched nervously, unsure what their leader would do. Then slowly, the High Counselor's defiance crumbled. His shoulders sagged. I didn't know about the shared ancestry, he said quietly. I didn't know we were related. If I had known, would it have mattered? Princess Vellana asked. Rathim looked at her, then at Dongwu. Perhaps. Perhaps not. I don't know anymore. I don't know what I was fighting for. Then stop fighting, Dongwu said. Turn yourself in. Face justice. Let the galaxy move forward. And what future do I have? Rathim asked. Prison? Execution? A trial, Prince Kavrin said, appearing from the shuttle behind them. He had followed despite promises to stay behind. A fair trial. Your crimes will be judged, but so will your words. If you speak honestly about why you did what you did, perhaps some good can come from this tragedy. Rathim studied them all. The human healer, the princess he had tried to kill, the prince he had tried to overthrow. All offering him mercy when they could have brought vengeance.